whiskey friends, welcome to the Whiskey Study. I'm TW Wright, and this is a video I've wanted to do for a long time. So if you've watched my other videos, if you've read my articles or seen my media posts, you probably figured out I'm not a huge fan of Jack Daniels. I try not to hate on it, but it's just not my favorite whiskey. Now this one here, I got a bottle of this single barrel, and this is a little better for me at least than the old number 7. But still not something I would normally grab when I want to have a snifter of whiskey. But we're continuing our theme here where we're closed in our house from our quarantine. We've got what we've got. Our collection, no matter how good, bad, boring, exciting it is, we've got to make the best of it. So we're talking about ways we can take whiskeys that we're very familiar with out of our collection and find new, fun, exciting ways to taste them. So what's more common of a pairing with Jack Daniels than Coca-Cola? Jack and Coke is synonymous with a barroom cocktail. So most whiskey drinkers, most whiskey enthusiasts don't really think of a Jack and Coke as something that sort of fits, what they like to imbibe with. But there's something about it that thousands and thousands and thousands of people really like. It's maybe one of the most popular cocktails or mixed drinks, we should technically call it, that there is in the United States of America. So we're going to figure out what it is that works so good with this cocktail mixed drink pairing. So if you travel overseas and you've ordered a cocktail, chances are it may have been delivered to your table deconstructed. In other words, the alcohol hasn't been added into the cocktail yet. They do that for a lot of different reasons. I think there's a little bit of presentation and pageantry with it, where they bring you the mixers and all the cocktails with the bitters or whatever drink you've ordered, and then they bring you a separate shot glass or snifter or something with the measured amount of the whiskey you've ordered. It allows you to, number one, smell or maybe take a sip of the whiskey to see if it's the kind you specifically asked for. It also lets you know, depending on where you are, they want to show you that they're not shorting you the amount of whiskey, and then you get to pour it in yourself. I think it's kind of cool too, because it also allows you to be part of the process of mixing it in. Well, what we're going to do here today is we're going to try this pairing, a pairing of the single barrel Jack Daniels with a Coca-Cola, and we're going to taste them deconstructed. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I've got this Coca-Cola. Now, I have to be honest, this isn't normal Coca-Cola. You can buy this in most grocery stores, but this is the Coca-Cola. Some people call it Mexican Coca-Cola. You can buy it in a lot of different places. When you go overseas, especially in Central South America, the Caribbean, this is what you'll have because it doesn't have corn syrup in it. It has cane sugar in it. This is how Coca-Cola used to be back in the early 80s and before. So, because I was going to do something special, I picked this up, but a regular Coke will work. Now, another thing I'm doing special with this that's probably a little unique in the way a normal person would enjoy Coca-Cola is I'm drinking it warm. I like the flavors of my whiskey at room temperature, and I want to have this whole experience at room temperature. Now, what does cold do for a drink, flavors of things? Well, cold takes sweetness away. That's why melted ice cream, when it's just melted, it tastes much more sweet than cold ice cream the way you would normally serve it. And Coca-Cola, if you ever drank Coke after when it's not been diluted with the ice, but it's gotten warm, it's a lot sweeter. And this one, of course, is going to taste much more sweet. I love that Coca-Cola smell. If you've ever just smelled a Coca-Cola at room temperature and really paid attention to it, that cola bean smell that we never taste or smell in any other fashion other than when it's in a soda. Super sweet, kind of smooth, light effervescence. There's a reason why this has been around as a soda for so long. So, okay. So with all our pairings, we like to allow our palate a minute or two to get used to what we're pairing with the whiskey. So in this case, the Coca-Cola. Taking a sip, moving it all around just like I would with a good whiskey. Swallow it, Try to pay attention to the sweetness, where the sweetness hits your tongue. You know, our palate, we taste different things in different places. So you want to really kind of let it sink in, let your palate get used to the sweetness of it. See if you can begin to taste past the sweetness into the cola bean. Now, this whiskey, as you know, this is, as you know, I like to drink my whiskey with water, but because I'm pairing it with another beverage, I'm not going to add any water to this at first. We'll see how this goes. Now, this is a 66.35%. So this is a strong whiskey. This has got a little heat to it, but we're going to go ahead and see if we can muscle through. And if I feel like I'm going to get a little bit more from it, from adding water to it, I'll go ahead and do so afterwards. Wow, I get a lot of corn out of this one. Sweet, almost corn syrup, which is great because that I'm choosing this Coca-Cola that has no corn syrup in it. So hopefully we'll get a little contrast here. Deep, dark sweetness, almost like a burnt corn flavor. This is a nice whiskey. Now, when I drink a whiskey with something I'm pairing it with, usually something, a food, something you eat, generally, whatever I'm pairing it with sort of pulls away flavors from the whiskey. It's sort of, your palate gets used to whatever you're tasting, whatever you're eating, and whatever those flavors are sort of pulled away from the whiskey, let you taste other things. I'm not getting that experience here. I'm not getting that same sensation with this. I don't think the sweetness of the Coca-Cola is making this any less sweet. I'm going to try tasting them together, see what we get with that. So I've been tasting these back and forth a little bit, and what I'm finding is that usually I'll taste whatever I'm pairing with the whiskey and I'll taste that first and then taste the whiskey on top of it. I'm actually getting a more delightful experience when I drink the whiskey first and then sip the Coke on top of that. The Coke almost like dances on your tongue. The effervescence really stands out. The flavors of the cola bean and the sweet corn, or I'm sorry, the cane sugar really stand out and really kind of make them fun together. And then the finish just becomes that you know, that Jack and Coke that we're used to tasting, you know, from years gone past. It's really a neat flavor. It's almost like candy that's Jack and Coke flavored. Really is a sweet, interesting, dynamic experience, the two of them together. So I brought some ice in here, just thinking I might want to try it with some ice. I usually don't drink my whiskey on ice. Of course, I usually don't drink Jack Daniels either, and when I do, I certainly don't do it with Coca-Cola. So we're breaking a lot of rules here today. And I got my fancy ice grabbers. So I'm going to put a piece of ice or two in here. Just see if by raising the, or lowering the temperature of my whiskey, I'll try it first. Again, a very dynamic sweetness that dances back and forth. The whiskey has a sweetness of its own. The Coca-Cola adds a different dynamic, a sweetness and a little bite with that carbonation, you know, the crispness to it. I'm going to put an ice cube in the Coke. We'll see what this gets. This is really neat. This is more of an experience than I even expected doing this. I tell you, next time I'm out and I'm with my friends and they're drinking Jack and Coke and I want to join them, I think I'm going to do it this way. I'll do them separate. I'll just ask for them in two separate glasses. You know, have the same experience that everybody else is having, but maybe a little bit more of my own experience on top of it. This is a really cool pairing. Another great way to take a whiskey that you have in your collection, maybe a whiskey you're familiar with. Maybe it's getting a little tiring because you're stuck in the quarantine, you can't run out and grab something new, and you just find a new way to taste it, to have a new experience with the same old bottle. Just have a lot of fun. Cheers.